Erik Ubalacher with Full Mount MMA, joined once again by UFC welterweight Neil Magny. Neil, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. We just kind of talked a little bit about it. It's been a hectic week for you. You're supposed to fight Daniel Rodriguez in just a couple days, actually, on October 15th. He pulled out with the elbow infection. It's now been rescheduled for November 5th. So you do have this fight rebooked, correct?
Yeah, so as of this morning, the contract came through and this fight is being rebooked for November 5th. So even though it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride in order to get things finalized and get in there against them, I am happy that like it wasn't a significant injury that was in a sideline for very long. And we were able to reschedule the bout for November 5th.
Is that a big adjustment for you? I know, so close to the camp. I'm sure you're already getting weight down and everything. Like, how has this affected your training and everything?
And no, not at all. I mean, really, the biggest disappointment was I got the news Thursday on my way to the gym that the fight was going to be postponed potentially. So I went into training business as usual, told my coaches about it. Then we started to kind of adjust how we're going to focus the next couple of weeks of training and that kind of thing. And literally, the biggest disappointment, I was like, all right, well, I'm done training for a bit. I don't have to make weight next week. I'm going to Whole Foods to grab some pizza. I literally pulled out the Whole Foods and literally the entire pizza bar was sold out. Like every single slice of management was gone. And I was like, well, that sucks. I'm gonna have to make weight and I still can't get pizza. But other than that, it hasn't been too difficult at all.
That's good to hear. I mean, it's been just a couple weeks since Daniel just fought Li Jingliang at UFC 279 after that whole shakeup. Were you surprised that he was ready to go as quickly as he was after that fight?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like the fight against Junior Yang was a great fight, but neither guy took much damage at all. And especially in Daniel Rodriguez's case, he didn't have to cut all the way down to 170. So I wouldn't imagine there need to be much recovery after that fight. So when the opportunity came for him to fight again, I'm sure he was jumping at the opportunity to do so, especially with the feedback and criticism he's been receiving after that fight, where a lot of people believe that he didn't necessarily win that fight and it was a judge screw up and that kind of thing. Um, so for him to be able to get an opportunity to jump back in there immediately against another ranked guy and kind of prove the doubters wrong, it was no surprise at all. He jumped up and took the fight.
Did you think that he won that fight?
Honestly, no, but I was excited. I was like, "Oh, sweet! I have a new opponent." If Yang won, it would be one less opponent, ranked opponent for me to fight. The fact that Daniel Rodriguez got the decision win, I was like, "Cool, I'll take it." That gives me another opponent. I didn't think it'll be a month later, but I was definitely excited about the possibility of having a fresh meat in the division, so to speak.
Yeah, I kind of want to ask you about that too, because talking to several welterweights recently, I get the sense that it could get a little bit stale at that division, especially towards the top where the guys aren't as active as you'd like them to be. For someone like you that's been in the top 15 for so long and fought so many of these new guys, does it excite you when guys like Daniel come up? Like, are these guys that you look at that enter the top 15 and you're like, oh, finally, somebody new here?
Yeah, 100%. It's for me, it's all about that competition. I mean, as far as like waiting to see the ideal matchup, as far as like number one versus number two or this versus that, like that always is the goal to get that number behind your name and fight for a UFC title. But like, there's so many things that are outside of my control that I can't get too worked up over. Like it beating the number 15 guy doesn't guarantee I fight number 10 next. Being number 10 guy does not necessarily guarantee I fight number five next. So getting caught up with the ins and outs of it as far as like, oh, I'm going to hold on, fight this guy. I'm going to hold on, fight that guy. To me, it's kind of a waste of time, especially where I'm at in my career right now. I mean, I'm now 34 years old, not 24 years old. So I'm aware of the fact that like I have more years behind me than ahead of me as far as like my time in the sport is concerned. So I don't have 6, 8, 9 months to sit around in between fights. I need to go out there and put on the greatest performances of my lifetime and make sure that I'm able to provide for my family long after I'm done fighting. So my focus kind of shifted where it's more about me going out there and leaving a legacy that's going to last long after I'm done fighting.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I talked to Stephen Thompson a few days ago, and especially at this point in his career, he's pushing 40 very quickly. He's kind of got like a set plan in his head for how he could fight this guy and this guy and then be back at the title. Do you kind of set plans like that, or do you kind of just take it one fight at a time?
And no, and it's kind of funny you brought that name up because he's one of the guys that's kind of clogging the division up. I mean, you're literally, I mean, like, and I like the guy. He's a nice guy, but the reality of it is, you're a mixed martial arts fighter, competing in mixed martial arts, and you're saying you don't want to fight another grappler. You fought all the heavy grapplers already. Excuse me? Like, no, you don't get to make that choice. You go out there and fight the guys who are ranked and get you moving forward. I mean, you don't get to pick and choose who you fight, and then like hopefully that carries you to a title shot. I mean, that just if that works out for him, great, more power to you. But that's just not a mindset or a thing that like I'm familiar with or I'm comfortable with or an ideology that I necessarily support. If it works out for some people, great, have at it. But I don't see things working out well for people who go that route. But like I said, if it works out for you, more power to you. But I just don't agree with it at all.
Well, it seems like he's looking more for fun fights at this point in his career, and I think he got that with Kevin Holland. Did you see the news about that matchup?
Yeah, yeah, which is what I can respect. If you're at the point that you're like, hey, you know what, I don't necessarily care to fight for a title, care about the ranks, that kind of thing. I just want to enjoy the next couple of years of my life and go out with a bang. I can respect that 100%, but like when you're sitting in a slot that guys are actively competing and fighting for, and things can't move forward or backwards without you actually going out there competing against these guys, put these on the line, it kind of clouds the whole division up and keeps everybody from moving forward. And that's what gets frustrating about it. Like, even though I know it's not guaranteed, like, oh, you beat number 7 guy, you're fighting this guy next. It is kind of a holdup when some of these guys are waiting out for these like perfect matchups or perfect opportunities to like make things happen.
Yeah, and it's funny because, Stephen Thompson has actually been one of the more active welterweights that are, in that top 10. I mean, I'm looking at the rankings right now. I mean, between Jorge Masvidal, Gilbert Burns, Colby Covington, a lot of these guys just, they're not fighting very often. I mean, does
For
that piss
sure.
you off as somebody that fights as often as you do and takes on all comers?
That it does and it doesn't. It does in the sense that like it's really hard to like break through and get that. But the other part about it is like I can't necessarily put myself in a position where I'm worried about what other people are doing or not doing. At the end of the day, what it comes down to, it's not necessarily who you beat, but how you beat them. So if I go out there and get another decision win against Dan Rodriguez, I can expect to fight another guy who's ranked in the top 15 maybe, or even a guy that's not ranked at all. But if I go out there and put a beating on Dan Rodriguez and get a finish, I can guarantee I'm gonna fight a top 10 guy, a top 5 guy after that fight. So I realize the landscape of MMA and where things are now as far as like rankings and that things goes. And I can hold myself 100% accountable for the fights that I may or may not get next. So for me, it's all about going out there and chasing that performance, chasing that highlight real performance that any guys talking on Monday morning. Like, holy crap, did you see what Neil did to Dan Rodriguez on Saturday? Like, that's the kind of reaction I want to have come Sunday morning, come Monday morning with my fight. And I know those kind of performances, those kind of conversations lead to bigger things. So for me, if a guy's stalling at the top or whatever else, I'm just going to focus on stringing together the performances that I know I'm capable of to get to where I'm trying to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like you like the Daniel Rodriguez matchup quite a bit. I mean, when it first fell through, I saw you post on Instagram, how bummed you were that fight in particular fell through. Why is he a guy that you are so confident against and want to fight like this?
And it's not nothing against the guy. It's not like I've seen him as having like weaknesses or anything like that, or that I feel like I can take advantage of. I just know how game of opponent he is, and I know the kind of pressure. I can assume. I should say no. I can assume the kind of pressure he's feeling on himself after his last fight to go out there and perform, and kind of like get over. So like I know that's the kind of guy who's gonna come out guns blazing, willing to take a risk in a fight. Where some guys rather be very strategic and like plan things out. I know he's also feeling that pressure. He's going to come out really wanting to prove a point, make a statement. So that's the kind of thing that's exciting about this fight. So it's not necessarily a skill set or something that he possesses that makes me confident or anything else like that. It's the mindset that I know he's in, and I can almost guarantee he's willing to show up to the fight with. That's making me excited. He's a guy that's literally coming for blood, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Let's see who bleeds first and who goes out first, kind of thing. And I think that kind of pressure, that kind of motivation, leads to great fights.
What are you expecting in the fight against him? Like, how do you think it's going to look when this finally comes together?
I literally think he's gonna be fighting tooth and nail. Like I literally think he's gonna come out there trying to make a statement, trying to prove a point. And I'm literally going out there to do the exact same thing. And I feel like with all those things lining up, that's like the recipe for a great fight. It's not like because like then day, like I'm fighting a guy who's ranked top 15, or it's like top 15. It's not like, oh, this is the fight that's gonna make or break my career kind of thing. But this is the fight that I know I can perform in, and it's gonna open up a lot of doors down the road. So I know it's a stake going into this fight, and I know it's a lot more internal pressure than anything else for me to go out there and get the job done.
No more of this catchweight stuff either, right? This is at 170 pounds, right?
To be honest with you, when this fight first came through, I was just like, huh, welterweight fight, Daniel Rodriguez in 3 weeks, huh? I highly doubt that's going to happen, but the contract says welterweight, so here we go. Let's go ahead and make welterweight. So in the back of my mind, with 3 weeks notice, I kind of prepared myself for the weight cut not going his way or whatever. Just and it's nothing against him. When the guy just fought about a month ago at the time at a catch weight of 180, most guys take about a week or two off after training camp. I'm sorry, after a fight in order to recover and that kind of thing. So I didn't expect him to like immediately go back to eating chicken and broccoli after the Junior Yang fight. So I definitely expected the weight cut to be somewhat of a difficulty throughout his training camp. But now that we got this fight postponed, it's pushed back an extra three weeks, whatever. There's no excuses. The weight cut's not an issue or anything like that. So that's even more fuel to the fire to go out there and perform our best.
Oh, it's funny because you're such a big welterweight as well. You're 6'3", right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's rare that guys come in and they are bigger than you, but I mean, Daniel Rodriguez is a very heavy welterweight. I mean, I've seen him on social media. He stepped on the scale after one of his fights, and I think he already put on like 20 pounds, like just a couple
Yeah.
hours after the fight. Do you think that that plays a factor at all?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's the difference with it. Like, though I'm a taller welterweight, I'm not the biggest in the sense of like strength and size. Like, there are other welterweights who are walking around 200 plus pounds or so. And on a good day, I'd be lucky if I can break 190. For me, like, I get the length advantage that brings to the fight, but I also realize the strength advantage and the size advantage give up to the guys who could be a little bit shorter, but a lot stockier and pack a lot behind their size or whatever. But like I said, I've been competing at 170 since I was 14 years old. At 34 now, like it's nothing new to me. I'm ready to go out there and go against the best of them.
Well, and I'm glad that the fight stayed together because two top 15 welterweights. I think stylistically, it's a great fight between you two. But everything progressed very quickly from him getting hurt a couple days ago, and all of a sudden you guys have a new date. I'm just curious. It was always Daniel Rodriguez, right? Like there was never any talks of keeping you on this October 15th card and getting someone else in there, maybe, or was it always just trying to reschedule this bout?
Yeah, immediately once I got notification from the UFC that Dan Rodriguez had an issue, it was always, hey, let's reschedule to November 5th if you're down for it. There was never talks about like, hey, let's try to keep let's try to keep October 15th open and see if we can get somebody else in that slot. It was always like, hey, he's injured. It's not a significant injury. He's confident he can make the fight work November 5th. Are you down to do it? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and move the fight forward. I mean, like I said, it's a minor adjustment as far as like how I switch up the next couple weeks of training camp. But overall, the extra 2 weeks prepare, I don't feel it's going to hurt me any kind of way. If anything, it adds more to the fight. So I didn't have a problem with that at all.
I figured that was the case, but I saw people, the rare occurrence of people calling you out on social media. Normally, it seems like you're not a name that people want to call out. You're just one of those fighters. You're a bad matchup for a lot of people. I don't know. Like, were you surprised that people were willing to step in on short notice and fight somebody like you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did appreciate that, but the frustrating thing is, like, I just watched this roller coaster thing go, where it's like, when I'm sitting in the top 10, close to the top five, or in the top five, I get called out left and right. If I happen to fall back to like the closer to the 10 teams or whatever, just like, all right, the calls get less and less, and then like opportunities like this happen, like everyone's like, oh yeah, I'll fight Neil, and I'm just sitting here looking at these people like, no, you're not. Like everyone's running to Twitter, everyone's running Instagram. It's like, oh, I'll fight him, take the fight. But not one single person is sending an email to their manager saying, hey, can I get the Neil Magny fight for next week? Or calling UFC, hey, can I get the Magny fight for next week? So like, I get it. It's a great image on the internet to like say that your guy wouldn't fight for a week, but the reality of it is like a lot of these guys aren't necessarily willing to step up and do it. I mean, one guy who I have a lot of respect for is Jake Matthews. Like the guy literally came out and said straight up like, hey, I would love to take the fight, but reality of it is there's no way I get a visa within a week. So he didn't even like go out there and like chase all the clout and all the nonsense like, hey, I'll fight him, I'll fight him. He knew what the reality was. Like, hey, I'm in Australia, the fight's 7 days away, 8 days away. There's no way in hell to get a visa to get out there in time. So as much as I like that fight, it's not for me right now. I wish the guys the best. And you know what I mean? Like I respect the guys who are truthful and honest about it, but all this other stuff where guys are jumping on social media saying that they're going to do this, they're going to do that. I literally hate that part of it because it's like we are in one of the only sports in the world where it's like, hey, I don't like that guy. Let me fight that guy. You can actually do something about it. Like you know what I mean? Like call your manager and set it up and do something about it. Like I'm not a guy looking to like wait 6 months in between fights. So if I fight on Saturday and you say you want to fight me on Sunday, I'm looking to have a contract by email by Tuesday. Like I'm not trying to drag this thing on and wait or whatever, or sit around and talk on Instagram or Twitter. I'm like, I'm looking to go out there and compete against the best guys in the world. And if it's a day's notice, 2 days notice, a week's notice, I'm ready for it.
That's awesome. No, I mean, great insight there because I've always wondered how that actually works behind the scenes. But I was just curious when Daniel Rodriguez did end up having to pull out of the October 15 date. You guys seem to be on good terms as people. Obviously, you're going to step in and fight in about a month. But did he like reach out to you at all and apologize? Like, has there been any back and forth between you two?
No, and honestly, when the UFC broke the news to me, just for the competitive nature in me and just like wanted to like compete fairly, I didn't necessarily want to even know what the injury was. You know what I mean? Like if it was like, oh, I rolled my ankle, I didn't want to know he rolled his ankle. I wanted to go in there with a fair fight and like, hey, as far as I know, he's 100% healthy. I'm gonna go out there and fight this guy. I don't want to go in there and feel like I would have like a target or an advantage that I could focus or anything like that. Like so when the news broke that he had to pull out for injury or whatever it was, and we can do it November 5th. I didn't even care to know what the injury was. I just kind of like, all right, cool. I'm glad it's not something significant. I'm glad he feels confident enough to be able to fight a couple weeks later. And it's not something that's going to be postponed for a month, 2 months, 3 months or whatever. So I was cool with that 100%. I didn't even care to know what the reason was. I just knew that he wasn't ready for November 15th. I'm sorry, wasn't ready for October 15th. November 5th was a comfortable date, and he was wanting to go out there on that date. And I was like, cool, let's do it.
You're a better man than most for that. I gotta say, that's noble.
No, I mean, I really don't care for it. I honestly like the competition parts of mixed martial arts. What drives me the day that I'm not having fun, not being competitive, I'm completely done with the sport. You know what I mean? So I want to go out there and fight the best guys in their best physical state, whatever it may be. I mean, I literally had fights where I fought Rodrigo de Lima in New Zealand one time, and we're both backstage. We're gonna get our drug test done like before the fight even happened, and he's laying there like, this guy's struggling to pee. He must be dehydrated, and he's laying there. And we're about to fight within a couple of hours. I'm just like, oh, this doesn't look good. So I literally went and found this man some Gatorade and Pedialyte to help him rehydrate before our fight. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't want to go in the fight for like, oh, I'm going to go out there and beat a dehydrated athlete, whatever. You good job. I want him to be as best as possible and be confident. Like, all right, cool. I beat the guy who's in the best state he could possibly be, and that's a win that I'm okay with. That's whether the fight went to a decision or whatever else it may be. That was a fight. I was confident that like, all right, whatever happens, I'm okay with it. I know I fought the best version of this individual, and I'm okay with the results, whichever way they come.
Well, I mean, that just shows the kind of person that you are to do that. Because I know there's a lot of people in this sport that, kind of try to capitalize on the weaknesses of their opponent, even if it is, an injury or something weird like that. So,
for sure.
And I mean, I feel like when I look at your resume, just the people that you say yes to fighting, I feel like that also kind of speaks to that as well. I mean, you didn't have to fight Shavkat Rakhmonov last time with your experience, with his ranking or lack thereof. I mean, like why do you say yes to these fighters like Shavkat Rakhmonov and, guys like Max Griffin, people like that?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like that's the competition. That's the the puzzle that's looking to be figured out right now. Like right now, Shavkat is still riding a 16-0 right now.
Mm-hmm.
All finishes, everything, that kind of thing. Like even though he had the best in that fight, that's still not a fight that I'm opposed to like looking forward to get a rematch again in the future. Like you know what I mean? Like right now he had the best of me, so like I'm gonna get that back. Like that's the competitive nature that drives me in the sport. And the other part with like a guy like Max Griffin, even like I'm looking to fight a ranked guy and no one's stepping up, and you tell me, hey, the best we can do is this guy who's been on for a bit. He's on 3-fight win streak. This guy's looked amazing in the last couple of fights. What do you think about fighting him? Like, sign me up. Hey, that's the best available competition. Sign me up. There's no need for me to wait in between fights and see who's willing to step up, whatever else it may be. Like, I'm not a guy that's go out there and like talk all the nonsense, do all the trash talk, do all that brash things that some guys choose to do. If it works for them, great. I'm just not one of those individuals. I'm only going to train to fight the best in the world and go out there and do my best against the best guys in the world. So if it means I'm fighting an undefeated kid out of Russia, sign me up. If it means I'm fighting a veteran that's fighting an amazing fight streak, sign me up. I'm willing to fight the best guys out there, because at the end of the day, that's what matters the most. I mean, that's the legacy that's gonna like live on long after I'm done competing.
No, absolutely. And Shavkat Rakhmonov a couple hours ago just got another fight confirmed. He's fighting Jeff Neal.
Jeff Neal. Yeah, I'm definitely watching that fight very closely. I mean, it's definitely a pretty cool fight from a fan perspective, but as a competitor, it's even more exciting. So I'm definitely watching that fight very closely.
I mean, 16-0 now. You think this guy has like championship potential, Shavkat Rakhmonov? I mean, you've been in there with him.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the dude is definitely well-rounded. Like he has a pretty good skill set. Like he's definitely for his experience level and where he's at, he's definitely on the path to do some great things in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Neal, it's been great catching up with you. I'm glad that you got this fight rescheduled on November 5th. Best of luck then. Before I let you go, did you have anything you wanted to promote? Teammates, personal stuff? I'll give you the floor real quick.
I appreciate it, man. Like always, it's always bigger than me. So if you guys can, just look into mission111.org. It's an organization I work with that does mission work in both Haiti and the Philippines. If you guys ever get some free time to check them out, it's mission111.org.
That's right. As always, we'll link that down in the description below. But Neal, again, best of luck. It was great catching up.
I appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. If you like our content, be sure to subscribe to Full Man MMA. And while you're at it, make sure to hit the bell icon as well so you never miss an update from us.